You've been lied to, repeatedly, by dealerships and car makers. That's the real reason most vehicles don't even make it to 100,000 miles. Today, I'm revealing 19 brutally honest tips that can help your car surpass the 300,000-mile mark. We're exposing the web of lies and dropping tricks that make shady mechanics mad. Stick around till the end, because the final tip literally takes 1 second. But it will save you $5,000 in repairs. Let's get started. Trick number 19. Follow the 3K oil rule. Are you following the manufacturer's oil change intervals? Then you're killing your engine. Slowly, silently, and avoidably. I've opened up engines that followed the dealer's 10,000 to 15,000 mile recommendation, and what did I find? Thick black sludge baked onto every surface like burnt lasagna. Pistons scorched, cams damaged, oil passages completely clogged. If you don't want your car ending up in a junkyard, stop trusting the regular service schedule. The reality is, those numbers are designed just to get the car past the 100,000-mile warranty, not to help it reach 300,000. Especially with real-world driving like short trips, stop-and-go traffic, and cold starts, your oil breaks down well before 7,500 miles. My shop's rule is simple. Change your oil every 3,000 miles with non-synthetic, or every 5,000 to 7,000 with full synthetic. It might cost more now, but $40 today is way better than spending $4,000 on a rebuild later. But clean oil alone won't save you if you're abusing your engine every morning. Here's what I mean. Trick number 18. Drive slowly, avoid idling. If you think letting your car idle for 10 to 15 minutes is helping it warm up, think again. That's not warming, it's slow death. I've torn down engines where the oil was so contaminated with fuel, it poured out like black water. Cylinder walls were scratched, compression gone. All because the engine sat too long every morning. Here's what's really happening. After just 30 seconds, unburned fuel starts washing down your cylinder walls, stripping away the protective oil layer and thinning it out. That turns your $40 synthetic oil into useless sludge. If you want your engine to last beyond 250,000 miles, start the car, wait 30 seconds. Then drive gently for the first couple of miles. This warms up the engine much faster, prevents fuel dilution, and keeps vital components protected. Oil temperature increases up to 8 times faster while driving than while idling. Real protection doesn't happen in your driveway, it happens on the road. And you'll also end up saving fuel, especially if you haven't learned the next trick yet. Trick number 17. Stop pumping after the click. That extra click after the pump shuts off? It's not giving you more value for your money, it's flooding your emissions system with raw fuel. I've replaced dozens of charcoal canisters that were soaked and destroyed just because people insisted on topping off their tanks. And those parts aren't cheap, we're talking $350 to $900 in repairs, all from one extra squeeze. Your gas tank needs room for air so it can properly vent vapors into the EVAP system. When you overfill it, you're pushing liquid fuel into the vapor lines, damaging sensors, clogging valves, and drowning the canister. I've literally seen fuel pouring out of vent lines like someone popped a gas-filled balloon. Want your car to last? When the pump clicks, stop and walk away. Every top-off chips away at your EVAP system's lifespan. And trust me, those repairs are far from affordable. Now that we've saved your EVAP system, let's talk about bringing your dying transmission back to life. Trick number 16. Don't fall for the transmission fluid myth. Most people don't think about their transmission until it starts slipping, and by then, it's already too late. At that point, you're not fixing a problem, you're replacing a $4,000 chunk of metal. Unlike engine oil, transmission fluid isn't something you top off. It's sealed in, quietly breaking down with every mile you drive. And here's the catch. It still looks fine. Still red, no burnt smell, but by the time you hit 60,000 miles, it's full of clutch dust, metal particles, and varnish. At that point, it's basically liquid sandpaper slowly grinding away at your gears. If you wait for the warning signs, the damage is already done. You should be doing a drain and fill every 60,000 miles or 6 years, whichever comes first. For hybrids, you can sometimes go up to 90,000, but it's not worth the risk. I've seen rebuilds cost anywhere from $3,000 to $7,500, depending on the vehicle and make. But there is one major exception. Never flush a transmission that's been neglected. That sludge you're washing out might be the only thing holding it together. If it's been serviced regularly, go ahead and flush it. If not, stick with a simple drain, and always use the correct OEM fluid. Toyota WS for Toyotas, Honda ATFW1 for Hondas, and Mopar ATF+4 for Chryslers. Later in the video, I'll show you another trick that can help your transmission shift like new. But first, let's fix a habit that's quietly draining your wallet. Trick number 15. Coast early to save your brakes. Slamming on the brakes isn't sporty driving, it's a $900 fine for poor habits. Every hard stop sends 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit heat spikes straight into your rotors. The result? Warped rotors, glazed brake pads, and overheated brake fluid. All because you treat every stoplight like a finish line. If you want your brakes to last, start easing off sooner, coast into stops, and use engine braking when going downhill. This simple change in how you drive can double the life of your pads and rotors, saving you hundreds of dollars per axle. And when replacement time comes, choose quality parts. Driving a Subaru? Go with Akabono or genuine Subaru pads. Got a Toyota? Stick to advice or factory OEM. Cheap pads shred rotors and squeal like a banshee. Pay a little more now or pay a lot more later. Now, let's move on to a trick most drivers never think about, but your engine absolutely depends on it. Trick number 14. Flush coolant before it overheats. Did you know modern aluminum cylinder heads can warp at just 230 degrees Fahrenheit? That means one single overheating incident could be the end of your engine. One Tacoma owner ignored his temperature gauge for just 8 minutes. The end result? A blown head gasket. The repair bill? $3,800. Here's the survival rule. If that needle hits the red, pull over immediately and shut the engine off. Don't try to limp it home. Praying won't save your engine, instead a flatbed will. If you want your engine to live longer, flush your coolant every 3 to 5 years, depending on the type. Check the level once a month and never mix coolant colors. Red, green, yellow, clear, they're not interchangeable. Always use the exact coolant your manufacturer recommends. Using the wrong type can corrode internal components, destroy gaskets, and turn your radiator into a chemistry experiment. Because once your engine overheats, it's not just a gasket, it's game over. And hey, if this kind of straight-up car advice is saving you money before things go sideways, hit that subscribe button. Trick number 13. Look for coolant leaks. If you're adding coolant every week, you're not maintaining your car. Instead, you're babysitting a slow death. Some drivers keep topping off for months while a hidden head gasket leak quietly turns their engine into scraps. Coolant doesn't just evaporate. If it's low, it's leaking, period. It could be a cracked radiator, a worn hose, or a failing water pump. Sometimes the culprit is harder to spot, like a leaking heater core soaking your carpet or a tiny head gasket leak that vents steam through the exhaust. And don't assume you'll always see the signs. Some leaks only show up when the engine's hot or under pressure. That's why you should always pressure test the system. Cold engine, pump it to spec, and watch for a drop in pressure. That's how you catch the killer before it wrecks your engine. If you just keep topping it off blindly, you're not fixing the issue, you're buying time. And since we're already talking about silent killers, stop using your SUV like it's a construction truck. Trick number 12. Dump the extra weight. Your SUV isn't a dump truck, and every extra 100 pounds you haul adds about 1,000 pounds of stress during hard braking. At my shop, we've replaced sagging springs, blown shocks, and bent control arms on vehicles never meant to carry half the junk people pile inside them. One customer loaded his crossover with 800 pounds of tools for a weekend gig. 2 months later, rear shocks blown, tires scalloped, alignment ruined. That free job cost him $1,400 in suspension repairs, and he still needed new tires. Check your gross vehicle weight rating. It's listed in your door jamb. Subtract your vehicle's curb weight, and that's your actual payload capacity. Don't forget passengers count too. Between adults and luggage, you're probably already maxed out. Want your suspension to last? Travel light. Don't carry what you don't need. Overloading doesn't just kill ride quality, it destroys your car from the ground up. And when your suspension starts groaning under all that extra weight, don't ignore it. Because that brings us to the next trick, one that could save you from a total breakdown. Trick number 11. Catch strange sounds early. Ticking, knocking, whining, squealing. If your car starts sounding like it belongs in a horror film, don't just turn up the radio and hope it goes away. That noise is a warning signal. Every odd sound you hear is your car's way of asking for help before something major breaks. Honestly, I don't get how some people can hear these noises and pretend they don't exist. If that's you, you don't really care about your car, plain and simple. A $40 belt squeal left unchecked can easily become a $1,200 alternator failure. That soft clunk you ignored? It was a bad CV joint that eventually snapped and ruined the axle. One customer waited months before checking out a light ticking noise. Turned out the engine was running low on oil and starving the lifters. He learned the hard way by ending up needing a full engine teardown. Here's the trick. Pinpoint the sound. Does it happen when cold? When driving over bumps? At high speeds? Track it, then get it checked. Early repairs are cheap. Delay them, and you'll wreck your ride. And while we're on the topic of expensive mistakes, automatic drivers, relax. This next one's for the manual heroes and those dreaded $1,200 clutch replacements. Trick number 10. Stop riding the clutch pedal. Resting your foot on the clutch pedal might seem harmless at first glance, but it's burning your clutch plate into dust with every mile. I've seen clutches burn out at just 40,000 miles, all because the driver couldn't keep their foot off the pedal. That's a $1,500 bill caused by one lazy habit. Here's what's really happening. Even a small amount of pressure keeps the clutch slightly engaged. That builds heat, wears down the friction disc, and scorches the flywheel. Every time you coast with the pedal halfway pressed, you're shaving off clutch life one stoplight at a time. Want your clutch to last? Keep your foot off the pedal unless you're actively shifting. At stoplights, shift into neutral. On hills, use the handbrake instead of holding the clutch. Do that, and you will triple your clutch's lifespan. But even if you drive an automatic, there's one bad habit almost everyone's guilty of, and it's slowly killing your fuel pump from the inside out. But don't worry, I've got a fix. Trick number 9. Stick to the quarter tank rule. I get it, gas prices are harsh, and sometimes you're just trying to stretch things until payday. But constantly running on empty isn't just risky, it's deadly for your fuel system. Your fuel pump depends on gasoline to stay cool and lubricated. When your tank gets too low, the pump starts pulling in hot air instead of fuel. Over time, that overheats the pump, dries out the seals, and burns it out from the inside. I've replaced fuel pumps with less than 80,000 miles on them. That's $600 gone, all because the driver kept pushing it, and it doesn't stop there. Running low also stirs up debris that settles at the bottom of your tank. That gunk gets pulled into the fuel filter and injectors, leading to rough idling, sluggish acceleration, and eventually wrecking your engine. Can't afford to fill it all the way? That's fine. But at the very least, try to keep a quarter tank in there at all times. It's not about keeping it full, it's about keeping your car alive. And if saving gas is part of the reason you're running low, do yourself a favor and check this out. 9 fuel myths stupid people still believe. I break down the so-called gas-saving lies that actually drain your wallet and wreck your engine. Trick number 8. Upgrade to quality spark plugs. Spark plugs are cheap. Engines aren't. I've pulled plugs so worn out they were barely sparking at all, with electrodes eroded to tiny stubs. The result? Burned out coils, melted pistons, and detonated combustion. I once tore down a 2.5-liter Ultima engine that failed simply because the spark plugs hit their 40,000-mile service life. The owner assumed his 100,000-mile iridiums were set it and forget it. They weren't. Sure, iridium plugs can reach 100,000 miles, but that's in perfect conditions. In real-world driving, start checking around 60,000 miles, especially in direct injection engines where fouling builds faster. Misfires, slow starts, rough idling, even destroyed catalytic converters. It can all start from $60 worth of neglected spark plugs. Want your engine to last? Stick with trusted options. NGK Iridium 9 or Laser Iridium are perfect for Hondas, Toyotas, and Nissans. Denso Iridium TT works great for Japanese imports and hybrids. Bosch Double Iridium is ideal for European cars. For Fords and GMs, always go with Motorcraft or AC Delco OE, never gamble with aftermarket junk. I've seen engines hit 300,000 miles with fresh plugs every 70,000. And I've seen engines fail at 130,000 thanks to cheap knockoff plugs slapped in at a quick lube shop. Trick number 7. Do the engine mount death test. Damaged engine mounts don't vibrate. They pound your frame at 2,000 beats per minute. I'm telling you this from personal experience. I ignored a subtle thump for weeks, thinking it was just an exhaust rattle or maybe just a little extra character. I was wrong. One morning, I started the car, dropped it into gear, and the whole dashboard shook like a jackhammer. Turns out the front mount had split clean in half. Luckily, I caught it before it cracked the exhaust manifold, but it came dangerously close. Engine mounts don't fail loudly, they fail quietly. You won't notice until the drivetrain starts jerking, the steering wheel shakes at idle, or gear shifts feel like someone rear-ended you, and by then, damage is spreading fast. It torques your axles, strains the transmission mounts, and bends support brackets. Want to catch it early? Do the death test. Hold the brake, shift into drive, and rev to 2,000 RPM. If the engine jumps more than an inch, that's not normal movement, that's metal on metal. Replace the mounts immediately, use high-quality OEM or solid aftermarket options. Anchor makes great budget-friendly OEM replacements. DEA and Westar are solid for daily drivers. Rain Automotive is great for European models. If you're running mods or just want something stronger, go with Torque Solution or Innovative Mounts for a bulletproof setup. Trick number 6. Wash the undercarriage. Washing just the paint is cosmetic. Ignoring the undercarriage is mechanical suicide. I've scraped through frames so rusted you could poke a hole with a screwdriver. Brake lines eaten alive. Fuel tanks leaking like sieves. You know what all those vehicles had in common? Owners who never rinsed underneath. Think rust takes years? Wrong. One winter of salted roads is all it takes to start a corrosion cancer that spreads for life. I once lifted a 2012 F-150 that looked spotless up top, but underneath, the control arms were flaking apart like crusty breadsticks. Rear brake lines snapped while the owner was towing. It nearly cost him his life. The fix? Use a pressure washer or visit a car wash with an undercarriage sprayer. Once a month in winter, or every week if you're in a snow country. And don't ignore rainy season either. That road grime traps moisture like a sponge. You're not just cleaning the surface, you're preserving the structural integrity of your entire car. The next trick is the reason I've personally fired people. Trick number 5. Always double-check urgent repairs. You walk into the dealership for a simple oil change, then walk out holding a $1,350 estimate and a panic attack. I've been on the inside. I've sat through the meetings where service writers are trained to upsell, fuel injector cleanings, brake flushes, and those magical multi-point inspections that somehow always uncover $600 worth of urgent repairs. One guy even tried to sell a throttle body cleaning on a brand new Corolla. I fired him on the spot. Here's the truth. Their job isn't to protect your car, they get paid to hit monthly sales quota. You don't need a $400 fuel system flush at 30,000 miles. You don't need spark plugs regapped if they're iridium tips. And if they tell you your brake fluid is black, ask to see it. 9 times out of 10, it's totally fine. Want to protect your wallet? Always get a second opinion from a trusted independent shop, or even better, a mobile mechanic who isn't chasing quotas. Ask for pictures of the issue. Ask what spec or number proves it's actually a problem, because trusting blindly is how you end up funding the dealership's holiday party fund. Trick number 4. Clean battery terminals regularly. Corroded battery terminals are silent killers. Your car doesn't care if it's fresh off the lot. If those terminals are covered in white crust, your starter's suffocating, your alternator's working overtime, and your electronics are barely hanging on. I've seen cars towed in with no start complaints that were fixed with a $5 wire brush and 10 minutes of cleaning. One customer was ready to spend $900 on a new starter until I pointed out the half-inch of corrosion strangling her battery terminals like a parasite. Here's what we do in my shop. Every 3 to 4 months, pop the hood and check the battery. If you spot any fuzz, clean it. Use a mix of baking soda and water or a proper terminal cleaner. Then apply dielectric grease or terminal protection spray to the posts. That stops future corrosion in its tracks. And a quick tip, don't yank off the battery cables without checking your radio code or any memory settings. Some vehicles throw a fit when power is disconnected. Now here's a trick almost no one talks about, but it's quietly saved more engines in my shop than most people realize. Trick number 3. Replace your gas cap. That $8 gas cap you've ignored for years? It might be the reason your check engine light won't shut off, or why your fuel economy has slowly dropped. Believe it or not, faulty gas caps are responsible for nearly 147 million check engine light triggers in the US every year. I see it all the time. Drivers spend hundreds chasing down rough idling or failed emissions tests, only to find out the culprit was a worn gas cap. One lady replaced sensors, hoses, even the charcoal canister before realizing it was the cap the entire time. Here's the truth. Your gas cap seals the fuel system. If it's loose, cracked, or missing the gasket, you could be leaking vapor, pulling in air, and messing with your car's fuel trim. That leads to poor performance, bad mileage, and long-term damage to injectors and sensors. My rule is to replace the gas cap every 5 years, or sooner if it looks dry, cracked, or that fuel smell won't go away. Stick to OEM parts, and every time you fill up, twist until it clicks. It's a $10 fix that can save you hundreds in diagnostics. Trick number 2. Don't skip regular brake fluid changes. Brake fluid is like the blood of your braking system. It absorbs moisture over time, which lowers its boiling point and can cause dangerous brake fade or failure. Many drivers forget this critical maintenance because brake fluid isn't something you check daily. But skipping changes can lead to costly repairs, or worse, accidents. Most manufacturers recommend flushing and replacing brake fluid every 2 years or 30,000 miles. Fresh fluid keeps your brakes responsive and protects expensive components like calipers and master cylinders from corrosion. For about $100, you can avoid a potential $1,500 brake system rebuild. Don't wait for spongy brakes or warning lights. Stay ahead with timely brake fluid maintenance. Trick number 1. Use the e-brake when parking. Think your P gear is enough? That's adorable. I've replaced 48 shattered parking pawls, those small metal fingers inside your transmission that lock it in place. When you park on a slope without using the e-brake, that tiny part is suddenly holding the entire weight of a 3,500-pound vehicle by itself. It's not a parking brake, it's a gear holder. And you're abusing it. Once that pawl snaps, you're looking at a $2,900 transmission teardown just to make sure your car doesn't roll away next time. I don't care if your car is brand new or 20 years old. I tell every customer the same thing. E-brake on every time. Uphill, downhill, even on flat ground. It doesn't matter. It's called a parking brake for a reason. Always set the e-brake first, then shift into park, not the other way around. Now that you know these 19 tough but proven tricks to extend your car's life, it's time to dive deeper. If you want to understand why most cars don't even make it to 100,000 miles and how to avoid the mistakes that kill them early, click the video on screen now. Don't let your next car become another statistic. Catch you next time.